fourth graders, it's Miss Burke. This real short video is meant to help you understand how to navigate this web quest so that you can complete it in the right amount of time and you know exactly what to do. So there are currently 6 tabs across the top, and what you will do is you should have already started on the home page, and the home page has just a basic introduction with a little video at the bottom that reads the introduction for you. And that tells you to go to the Before You Start page. Before You Start is where you should be right now, and currently the video you're watching will actually be located right in this section. So you should be watching that right now, and some things you need to do before you start is you're going to need to view this review of what we learned in 3rd grade about primary sources. Read through the standards and things that you're going to need to understand. And the last thing you're going to need to do before you start is go up to the Before You Start tab and click on Pre-Assessment. And the Pre-Assessment has 6 questions. It doesn't count as a grade, so don't worry if you're not sure of the answers. Do as best as you can, but keep the answers to yourself so I can see what you do and don't know. When you type in your name, the only thing you need to do is put your first name, and then you can click Start. And you can take the pre-assessment. So we started with the home page, we went to Before You Start. The next thing we do is click on Activity 1, and you want to click on the tab. Activity 1 is the first amount of learning you're going to do, and you're going to talk about what are primary and secondary sources and talk about how they are used. So I give you, at the top of each activity is what your goal is for the lesson, and then you'll see a bunch of tasks. And so this is task 1, and they ask you to watch some videos. It's really important that you read all the fine print so you know exactly what to do. Whenever you're working online, and especially when you start taking online assessments, sometimes we're tempted to go really fast through things because that's how we're used to surfing the web, but we want to make sure that we read carefully so we know what we need to do and we don't make mistakes with our assignments. So you're going to watch some videos. Task 2 asks you to review points. Task 3 asks you to complete the discussion board prompt. The discussion board prompt is not actually located here. This is what you will be doing, but to access the discussion board, you can either click here or there's a spot at the top of the page I will show you. This rewind or fast forward section is meant if you finish early, there's some extra things you might do to learn a little bit more about primary and secondary sources, or if you're not quite sure, there's some extra help there to remind you of the things you need to know. So that is always available for you in each activity, but is not a requirement to be done. So I'm going to go back up to the top and show you real quick where those 2 things are for Activity 1. So under Activity 1, we have the discussion board and we have rewind or fast forward, and you can click on either one of those when you need them. So we've done home, Before You Start, Activity 1. Obviously after Activity 1 and you've completed everything there, you go to Activity 2. Activity 2 is set up the same exact way. Your goal for the lesson is at the top. And there are several tasks that ask you to do some different activities, but it's set up the same exact way. So make sure you read the small print. There's a fun game to play in Activity 2. There's a different type of presentation, so some little different things that we haven't seen before, but you will do just fine with it. Activity 3 is what you'll do after Activity 2. And that's set up the same way. Goals at the top. There's several tasks that you need to complete, and then you'll actually be completing your final task, which is asking you to find some primary and secondary sources on the internet. And you'll be making a post in there. The last thing you have is the After You Finish page, and the After You Finish page is after all the activities are done, and you make sure that you have completed it. You'll click After You Finish first. And if you scroll down, you can see it reminds you of what your goals were. There's some notes that you can review by scrolling down, and it's really important that you review all these notes so that you are prepared for the final assessment. And you will click here for the final assessment, or you can find the final assessment right under the after you finish page. The last thing I want to talk about is the discussion board. Each activity has its own discussion board, so make sure you're in the right discussion board when you're posting. What you are going to do is you're going to read the questions, and this is almost just like an extended response. Make sure you read my suggestions on how you should respond and what other things you need to do. And when you're ready, you'll click Add Comment. In the comments, you'll type in your name. You only need your first name. If you have someone else in the class that you share a name with, you may want to put your last initial. I do not need email addresses. Please do not give me your email address, and I don't need a website. You can leave both of these things blank, and you will post your answer in the comment section and then hit submit. This little box here of notify me of new comments to post to this post by email, don't worry about that. I already have it set up how I want it. So I think that's it. Be sure if you have questions about how to complete things or what you need to do, ask a peer, ask Miss Burke, ask another adult that you might be working with, so you know exactly what you need to do. But most important, this is meant to be a fun and different way that you can learn about primary and secondary sources, so good luck and have fun.